Hello, everybody. How are we all today? Welcome to our sign language class today. My name is Anthony, and it's lovely to meet you all. Some of you have been with us previously, so welcome back. And to those who it's their first time today, you're very welcome to join us today. And you're probably thinking, my goodness, where's that voice coming from? But I have an interpreter with me today, and she is behind me. So you'll be able to hear what's going on, and also you'll be able to see me signing as well. Today in Belfast, the weather is beautiful. The sun is out and it's really warm, and it feels like winter is a thing of the past, and we're looking forward now to the summer. I hope the weather across UK, Scotland, Wales, I hope the weather there is improving as well. And it's lovely to see everybody's mood uplifted as the weather improves. It's a big difference. It makes such a big difference. It's been such a long winter for us. So, today, the topic that we're going to cover is education. So, I'm going to teach you the signs that you might need in a setting like in school and educational topics. If you have any questions at all today, or there's anything that you would like to ask me, please feel free to type it in the chat box in the comments, and I'll keep an eye on them and I'll reply as we go. I'm going to teach you some vocabulary, as I said, linked to educational settings. It may be subjects and different things. I won't be able to cover everything because there's so much to cover, but we'll pick out bits and pieces. And then we'll move on, and I'll give you a wee bit of an insight into deaf education and how things have been, and about how deaf people, access and the careers and things that they've chosen to go into. Okay, so now I'm going to teach you some sign language. I'm going to start with the vocabulary for school. Are we ready to get started? So this is the sign for school. School. There are regional variations to the sign, and it might look a wee bit different depending where you are. So it could be like this for school. And if this is your first time here, you might not understand what I mean by that. But sign language across the UK is not exactly the same. Around 85% of it is the same, but there are some regional variations. It's the same much as in the spoken language. We have different accents across the UK, and it's much the same for sign language. For example, if somebody from Scotland or Wales is signing, I can identify that they're from a different area. I can work out where they're from through the signs that they're using. However, of course, I can't hear somebody, so they can't understand the accent. So I think it's really beautiful that we can see the regional variations. Anyway, we'll move on and we'll get back to the vocabulary side of things. So most of the UK sign school like this, or school. This is the Northern Ireland sign, and I'm based here in Belfast, so I would use school. And we would sign teacher. In England, Scotland, and Wales, they sign teacher like this. And the third is classroom assistant. Here in Northern Ireland, that's how we sign it. So classroom assistant, classroom assistant. And England and Scotland and Wales will sign it a wee bit differently. Classroom assistant. Classroom assistant. Or classroom assistant. Classroom assistant. Okay, and the fourth sign I'd like to teach you is principal. Principal. So the sign's up high. Principal. Principal. And the fifth sign that we're going to teach you is vice principal. Vice principal. Okay, we'll repeat all of those. So we have school, school, or school, school. And the second one, in Northern Ireland, we sign teacher, teacher. In England, Scotland, and Wales, it's a bit different. It's teacher, teacher. And the third one, here in Northern Ireland, we sign classroom assistant. And of course, in England, Scotland, and Wales, it looks a wee bit different. It looks like this: classroom assistant. Lovely. And we'll move on. So we have principal, principal. And the fifth one is vice principal, vice principal. Okay. So now I'm going to teach you some signs for subjects because some teachers, some of the audience today may be teachers and you may be working in schools or you may be a classroom assistant. So some of this vocabulary may be useful. Okay. I'm going to teach you some of the signs for the most important subjects. Okay. So this is the sign for English. English. And the next one is maths. Maths. So we move our fingers for this sign and we start from the bottom and we work our way up for maths. Maths. And the third sign for today is science. 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 And we'll move on now to our fourth sign, which is history. History. You see, we're moving the hands back because we're talking about the past. So it's history. History. And the next one is geography. Geography. And the next one is RE, RE, religious studies, RE. Or we can finger spell it, just RE, or RS for religious studies. So we have RE, or of course RS, or RE like this. Okay, now I'm going to test you all. I hope we're ready. So we've 10 signs so far altogether that we can recap on. Okay, so number one, number two, number three, number four, and number five, and number six, and number seven, number eight, and number nine, and number 10. So I'm looking at the answers. So number one is maths. Well done, everybody. And number two was vice principal. So we have V for vice and then the sign for principal. Number three was school or school. So well done. I can see the comments there. Lots of people getting it right. Number four, yeah, geography. And number five, yes, I can see lots of people getting it right there. That was history. And number six was right also, teacher. Or here in Northern Ireland, we sign teacher. And number seven, hmm, it was principal. And number eight was English. Oh, no, sorry, it was RE. Number eight was RE. Number nine was right, it was English. And number 10 was science. Well done to everybody. Yeah, lots of people getting it right. Okay, So now I am going to teach you some more signs for the subject. So number one, here in Northern Ireland, we use the sign for music like this. Music. But of course, in England, Scotland, and Wales, it might look a wee bit different. And it's like this for music. Music. And the second one is art. Art. And the third sign is drama. So we're using our middle finger for this one on the back of the hand for drama. Drama. And the fourth sign I'd like to teach you all is PE. PE. And we'll move on now to our fifth, which is French. Here in Northern Ireland, we sign it this way. French. French. But of course, it might be a wee bit different. It's like this, French. In England, Scotland, and Wales, it's French like this. French. And the reason that it's signed like this is because, of course, it shows the wee moustaches. French. French. And we'll do one more. Here in Northern Ireland, we sign it like this. So Spanish. 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 Some other parts in England, Scotland, and Wales sound a wee bit different, and it looks like this. It's quite a hard one. So we're making a T shape with our fingers, our thumb. And we're putting that onto the chest, and we're turning it round. Spanish. Spanish. Okay, we'll repeat those signs. So number one, music. Here in Northern Ireland, it's like this. Or of course, across the water, it's like this. And then we have art. Art. And we have drama. Drama. And we have PE. PE. And French here in Northern Ireland looks like this. French. And of course, in England, Scotland, and Wales, it's a little bit different. It looks like this. French. And our fifth sign was Spanish. Here in Northern Ireland, it looks like this. Spanish. But of course, there's a regional variation, and it looks like this. Spanish. Lovely. If there are any subjects that you'd like to know the signs for, please feel free to type it in the comments and I'll pick them up. So I'm going to teach you some signs for A level and GCSE. Okay. So we have G, C, S, E. GCSE for GCSE. We fingerspell that. And the next one is A level. A level. Or AS level. AS level. And transfer test. Here in Northern Ireland, that's what we call it. If we're moving from primary school into secondary school, we call it a transfer test. I'm sure it's a wee bit different if you're in England, Scotland, or Wales. I'm not sure of the right term for it. But here in Northern Ireland, it's transfer test. So transfer looks like this. Transfer. So we're moving from one place to another. And that's why we're signing it like this. We're moving our hands from one place to the other for transfer. This is quite a hard sign for test. So the hand shape looks like this. So the index fingers to the eyes. And then we have our baby fingers at the bottom out too. So the index goes in and the baby finger comes out for test. It's a hard one. Transfer, test. There's a comment there asking about the sign for psychology. So it looks like this. So we're pointing to the brain, and then we have our hand out in front for psychology. Psychology. Okay, so let's test everybody. I hope we're ready. Number 1. Number 2. Number 3. And number 4. Number 5. Number 6. Number 7. Number 8. Number 9. Okay, now we'll look at the answers. Number 1 was drama. Drama, like this. Number 2 was PE. PE. Number 3 was GCSE. GCSE. Number 4 was art. art. Number five was Spanish. Spanish or Spanish. Number six, A level. A level. Number seven was French. French or French. French. Number eight was music. Music or music, of course, depending on where you are. Music. Number nine, transfer test. Transfer test. Well done, Elizabeth. Brilliant. That was right. I can't believe it. Really, really impressed. Well done. Well done. Okay, so now I'm going to talk to you a wee bit about education and what education is like for deaf people. You may have heard some of this before. I want to remind you all that sign language was banned in 1880, and that happened at a conference called the Milan Conference. Before that time, deaf people and deaf children's education was it was it was good. It was a good education. They had a good standard of education, much the same as their hearing peers, because the teachers taught them in sign language, and both sign language and spoken language, which meant the deaf children had access to both languages. But as I said, in 1880 at the Milan Conference, they banned the use of sign language and they decided that the oralist approach was a far more superior move. So deaf people who couldn't hear very well at all really, really suffered. They had to depend on completely on lip reading. And there were no other options. It was very, very limited for deaf people. And, reading and writing, their standard of reading and writing, they fell behind and they fell behind their peers. What happened then in 1970, they researched and they found proof that over 90% of deaf children aged between age 16, their standard of reading and writing was on par with hearing people at age 9. So something needed to change. They needed radical change. So they decided to start campaigning and trying to get sign language back into schools. In 2003, that was recognised, and deaf people then were granted more access to the language, and that came in the form of interpreters or classroom assistants who could come into the school and sign and communicate through speech as well. And that gave deaf people an opportunity to catch up. And actually, education is a lot better now because we're a lot more deaf aware. Teachers and classroom assistants are more aware of how to teach with deaf children, whereas previously they didn't know and deaf children were left out and they were left behind in the classroom. But now, because they've had training, they've had access to this, they know how to teach. Lots of teachers that are deaf are really, really, they're specialized, in teaching deaf children. And they would travel, across, different schools and they would meet with deaf children there. And that helps deaf children to catch up with their education to make sure that they're not behind their peers. Deaf children will always be behind, but if they have the right access and the right support, then the right opportunities, then they'll always be on on par with their peers with hearing children. So it is that now there's lots more opportunities for deaf people, which is brilliant to see. Like myself, I run my own business, and thankfully, I had a good standard of education. I'm very lucky to have had the education that I had, and there's been lots of opportunities that I have been able to attain. But lots of deaf people don't get those opportunities. So I would count myself as one of the lucky ones. For example, I moved to England to a boarding school. So I had the option and I had that opportunity to go across the water and attend school there. So deaf education is a big thing and it's something to be aware of as well. And it's really important for a deaf child to feel included and to make sure that they're getting the right access when it comes to education. And it's the teachers as well. They get that training to make sure that they can adapt their teaching styles to meet the deaf child. So I think it's something that I appreciate you all, making the effort to sort of come down and make sure that you're able to communicate with deaf people. It makes life easier for a deaf child, as they grow up and more people know sign language and they get more access to people. It's brilliant to see. Often what happens is teachers think that they can, maybe if they think if we use sign language, it can actually damage their ability to learn, their ability to read and write. But actually, there's evidence to say that using the use of sign language helps the deaf child to understand the concepts clearer. It gives them a foundation and it helps them and it actually improves their skills to read and write. So there's plenty of research out there that supports this. So please don't think by signing it'll affect their ability to read or write or damage that opportunity for them. It's actually better if we can do both and we can have access to both languages. Most deaf people have, went to oral schools and they've had the oralist education approach and they've relied, mainly on lip reading. But, for myself, in my experience, I can only really concentrate on lip reading for about 20 minutes. After 20 minutes, my mind was completely gone. It's just so tiring, particularly whenever you're completely focusing on someone's mouth and every single word. You have to really, really concentrate. For me, I missed the meaning because actually what was happening, I had no time to work out the meaning. I was so focused on the words and the words that were being said. I had no time to take myself back and actually work out what the meaning was to those words. So that was really tough. I found that difficult. So for me, as I said, in my experience, I was able to go to university and I was able to have access to an interpreter, which was brilliant. I had full access. The interpreter was given prep because, of course, they maybe weren't well versed in the subject that I was studying. So they worked closely with the lecturer and they were given prep and they were able to prepare so that when they came into my lessons and my lectures, I was able to access the lectures completely and fully. It's definitely what's needed. Okay, so now I'd like to teach you some more sign language. So this is the sign for university. Universally, university. If you have any comments or any questions, please feel free to type them. Or if there's any signs that you would like to know, please feel free to type them in the comment box and I'll pick them up. College. It can be a wee bit confusing because we have college and classroom, which looks a bit similar. However, there's different placements for them. So classrooms, at the sort of the neck, the jawline there, whereas college is a wee bit further up at the head because we're thinking about the hat. So college, sorry, classroom. Sorry about that. Classroom and college. So number one, university, and number two, college. Number three, course, course, course. Number four, degree, degree, degree. Number 5, here in Northern Ireland, we would sign it like this for exam, exam, exam. But of course, there's a regional variation across in England, Scotland, and Wales, and it looks like this for exam, exam, exam. And the last one is celebrate or celebration. Celebrate. Perhaps maybe you've passed your exams or you've had a good mark. You might think about celebrating. Celebrate. 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 Okay, let's repeat them one last time. Oliver and Tilly. It's a different sign. University. So we have university like this. Okay, so university, college, course, degree, and exam or exam. And the next one was celebrate. Okay, let's test you all now. This will be the final one. So, number 1, celebrate. Oops, the interpreter voiced that one over for you, so we'll start that again. So, number 1, number 2, and number 3. Number 4. Number 5. Okay, let's see what the results were. So, number 1 was college. Number 2 was exam or exam. Number 3 was university. University. And number 4 was celebrate. And number 5 was course. Course. Well done, Elizabeth. You were right. Absolutely, everyone. Well done. You're doing great today. Has anybody any questions in relation to the topic of education that we've been covering today? I really hope you've learned sign language with me today. Education for deaf children is so important, and it's a need, it's a must, and accessibility is so important for them. so that we can make sure that deaf people and deaf children are on par with their peers. And things are changing compared to years ago, compared to 20, 30 years ago. We are starting to see radical change, which is lovely. I want to say a big thank you for your time in joining us today and for learning sign language. Thank you to the Royal Volunteers Service, the Virtual Village Hall. Thank you for having me teaching today, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to meet with you all to teach you all. And I'd like to thank my interpreter today because I really was looking for an interpreter last minute and she stepped in for me today. So she had no prep for today, but she's been done a brilliant job. So I'd just like to say a big thank you to my interpreter for today. Thank you all. Have a lovely weekend, everybody, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.